C10 Talk, episode 195, Product Pod. We've got Goonie wheels, brush guards, hidden headlights, and trick door latches. Oh yeah.
We've won multiple awards at SEMA. You know, we've won multiple awards with the tow industry as well. And we've gone international, you know, which is exciting for us. You know, our products available, you know, probably in every continent in the world now. So,
damn, son.
Let me tell you what Melba Toast is packing right here. I've got 411 Posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some fucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man, he's a television repairman, got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth flapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Wedge.
What's up? What's up? Coming at you, episode 195, C10 Talk and the Product Pod. Yeah, a lot of P's in that one. Product Pod coming at you. You know, so some of these companies I kind of got exposed to, or I saw something, social media, ran across it and thought, damn, son, C10 Nation and automotive restoration and truck builders, car builders, and a little bit of this and a little bit of that would want to know about it. So put a little list together and we've got it. We've got brush guards, Goonie wheels, hidden headlights, and trick door latches coming at you, episode 195. Let me know what you think on these Product Pod. The feedback is important because if you like this kind of stuff, then, you know, I know to keep bringing it to you versus just the one-on-one style builder episodes. Speaking of that, next episode, big treat. I'm not sure if he'll have all four done in sequential order, meaning, I guess I should say, if we can get them all done in time. But my buddy, Home Slice Original, Sammy Castronova, is working on a little special something for you guys. Next episode will be the first in a 4-part series. So what I mean is whether or not we'll be back to back with all four. But think buyers, sellers, getting to know, what to know, and Sammy's got it. Sammy C, Sam Castronova, coming at you on episode 196. The next episode, you're not going to want to miss it, okay? How about a little football opening weekend? And if you're a football fan or not, I mean, I am big time. Probably less more than I used to be, but so damn busy. But it gives you a little sense of normalcy, I guess, in this world, even though there's nobody in the damn stands, which is kind of weird, but good to see. Hopefully we're turning the corner and getting back to what may be our new normal. You know, went to the intervention and that was pretty fun and seemed kind of normal. Went out to the Bowling Green Pro Touring Truck Shootout. That was pretty good. So little by little, we're going to get there. Speaking of other shows, October 24th, North Carolina's got their show going on that Saturday in Oakboro, North Carolina. Hit them up on the C10 Fall Revival. C10 Fall Revival if you want to head out to that one. And then the granddaddy of them all, the C10 Party of the Year, the quintessential Dino's Chevy Only Get Down, November 13th and 14th, 2-day event. They're working on getting that permit and we'll know. And as soon as I know, I'll pass it on to you guys. All right. I think we're just going to jump into these reviews and get you over to the product review so we don't have to fiddle fart around and you guys can listen up. Please take the time to give us a review. Let us know how we're doing. It does help. It looks like we're at like 580. Let's get that bad boy up to 600. Help me out here. Get on iTunes and leave us a review. All right, I think this is where I left off. In the Know, 5 stars by ZV, babada. A bunch just of letters. So who knows on that one, but In the Know, 5 stars. Really great info and makes you feel like you are part of the C10 scene from anywhere. Thank you, ZV, babada. In the Know, 5 stars. All right, C10 listener, OBS owner, 5 stars by Downtown Neil Brown. Rad name. I started listening to this podcast a couple of years ago as I spent a lot of time on the road and always been a truck fan, mostly mini trucks and OBS, but have always liked C10s. I'm really looking forward to what will come from the recent growth of the OBS movement. I have a 97 extra cab short bed Silverado that is very Boyd sport truck style, and love that this stuff is coming back. That's Neil Brown from Shertown. I feel like I read that one, but pretty awesome. Either way, Neil Brown from Shertown. Thanks for the listen. Thanks for the rate and the review. And hopefully you're digging the old OBS talk on the sister station, brother. Very cool and helpful. 5 stars. One last one here. Smoke 'em tires. I'm only 17 from Southwest Wisconsin, and I just started listening this week. I'm building a 1969 GMC C15, and it's so cool to be able to listen to all that you guys have in knowledge, and it's just fun talk. Thanks so much for having this much fun. Very cool and helpful. 5 stars. Smoking tires, 17. That's what it's all about out there, brother. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. You guys, please, let's get it up to 600 and see where we go from there. Up on the sister station, so OBS talk. Speaking of that, Travis sits down with Severed Tracy and her husband Blaine. That'll be Wednesday, so tomorrow when this drops, if it drops on time. And then Casey Matthew is on F100 talk. Yeah, that Casey from Gas Monkey Garage, the one and only. So you want to kind of see what he's been up to, check that one out. F100 talk, Casey Matthew. OBS talk, we've got Severed Tracy and her husband Blaine. C10 talk, you got Product Pod coming at you with a buyer's guide from Sammy Castronova coming up next. What else we got? D100 talk. There's a couple cool ones over there if you want to check it out. Slicks dropped 2. Umberto drops 1 this week. So the old Truck Talk Media is happening. We're working hard to bring you guys the best possible pod we can. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the rate. Thanks for the review. I hope you like the Product Pod. Let me know. Ronnie at C10 Talk. Ronnie at C10 Talk. Stay out of trouble. Do what you do. Leave us a review. Late.
Hey guys, we've got Chris Turner working on the Product Pod. Chris Turner is the VP over at Trick Manufacturing. You probably heard of that name. If not, how about the Altman door latch? A lot of these older trucks, and they got some mechanism issues. Cool stuff coming out of these companies where products can be installed, updated, and ready to rock. Chris, welcome to C10 Talk.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about Trick Manufacturing and how you guys came up with this Altman door latch system.
Well, basically, it was developed out of necessity. The old door latches on trucks just don't really, hold up to what you want out of a nice show truck. And Terry Altman, who the latches are named after, he had a 55 F100. He developed a latch kit just for himself to use. He just kind of chopped apart an old or a standard bear claw universal latch. Put it in his truck and just kind of hooked up the linkage and everything to where it worked with the outside locks and the outside door handles. And basically from there, we started when we started the company, we were actually going to look at interior products, like AC vents and door handles and things of that nature. And then ended up making another kit for a Chevy truck at 55 to 59. And then from there, it was just like, this could actually be the niche part of the business. And then we just kind of off and ran from there and started making them for other trucks. Now we make them for 47 through 67 Chevy trucks. And
yeah, 72, because obviously the 67 to 72. Has it become the biggest part of the company?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, the latches in general, and then the 67 to 72 alone is it's currently our number one seller. So
yeah, that was one of my questions. Are you going to look to do anything with the 73 to, 87 trucks?
Originally we didn't think, we didn't know if there was a market for it. We had just kind of planned on stopping at 72 because, I think 73 up, there's already kind of a standard claw style latch over a striker pin. So we just didn't really look at it. But then when we came out with the 67 to 72, we started getting bombarded with requests for the square bodies. So it's definitely something we're looking into.
Yeah, and I think with the square body, they figured it out. The weak link there is, I guess over time, is just the hinges start to sag. And that seems to be the immediate fix. where your nadir striker pin starts to wear. And you're right, but a lot of times guys will upgrade that, whether that's with stock stuff or with something that, you know, provided by you guys and an aftermarket company. So I feel like the reception has been, you know, people are loving the product. It does seem, you know, like it's fairly easy to install. You guys provide all the template, all the hardware, and it seems like it's about, maybe not a half day. I guess it depends on cutting and everything like that. What do you factor in? Maybe a 3-hour install?
Yeah, I would say so. I usually say about a 3 to 4 hour just for, you know, a novice, as long as you're, you know, feel like you're somewhat capable of tackling the job. It's relatively an easy installation.
Would you say that cutting the door itself, you guys provide the template, cutting that metal, being very precise is probably the biggest job?
Yeah, definitely. That's because after that, basically you're just, after that, you're basically drilling some holes and everything kind of bolts in at that point. So that's that's probably what makes people the most nervous is going through and cutting that hole out in their door. But even with that, there's still some give. The hole that you cut is much smaller than the installation plates for most of our installs. So you even have a little fudge room there.
So the plate goes, you know, over the metal. So you have that backing, and then you go in, you install your new mechanism. And then you guys also offer kind of a billet style striker too, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Just kind of something to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing than the kit normally comes with just a standard steel plate. For the striker side, it bolts into the stock location. There's no modifying that's done there. You just unbolt your current striker and bolt that one in. But yeah, we do offer an upgrade to a billet striker block, just kind of a nicer looking piece.
From a working perspective, really no different. It's just that the billet is, you know, it's fancier, it's nicer. So if you're putting it on a show vehicle and you want that pop, they offer that.
Exactly.
Cool. What's that thing retail for? Right around 200?
The retail on the kit is $349.95.
Okay, there you go. I was off. So $350 for the kit, and that does not include the billet striker, right? That's an upgrade?
Correct.
Okay. And you make them for pretty much all the way from first series Chevys to the 67 to 72s. Your 67 to 72 is predominantly your best seller right now.
Right.
And then what else are you thinking about? You've got Ford stuff. Are you thinking about any Dodge stuff?
You know, we haven't got a lot of requests, but we kind of go off of requests. You know, we try to listen to the feedback that customers give or requests that we get. We don't get a lot of, I'm not going to say we've never had them, but we don't get a lot of Dodge requests on those. It's, you know, here lately, to be honest, it's been the square bodies. That's what I get, you know, several a week. So
let's think, in theory, this year, 2020, 2021, when would you start to R&D and get after a square body setup?
We're getting some pieces coming in now that we're going to start looking at, because for one, we're going to try to figure out most of the way that we've tackled the latches in the past. Because of the style of latch it's required that cutout. But one thing that we're going to look at on the square body is the possibility of developing a latch that you won't have to modify the door. Something that maybe can just go into place of the old one, but just function better and be longer lasting.
Yeah, it is a bear claw type system, right? So it already has the nadir. It's there. For me as a firefighter, I was looking at the fire truck the other day, and that's kind of what we have on our fire truck. You know, it's pretty simple, kind of have the claw latch, and then you've got I call it the nadir, but your striker pin, and it locks on. Yeah, I would think you guys could probably come up with some really kick-ass internal mechanisms where it's really smooth. We all know that the square body doors tend to not like to shut the first, second, and maybe sometimes the third time.
Yeah, that's basically how we want to. We've always tried to make the installations easy. We've always tried to make, and it's just like say in the past with the way that the door latches were, you were kind of left with having to make that cutout because, you know, most of those latches kind of poke through a hole inside the door. So, you know, being able to tackle this one this way, I think will make for a better installation.
Cool. Takes you about 3 or 4 hours. There's a few videos online. I know you guys have worked with some different builders, And all in all, the feedback that I've heard is always positive. People enjoy it. I know we worked with John Orrell has it on his Blazer that he was going to take to SEMA, and myself, Kyle from Metalux, we kind of started that process. And really, once you get that cut down, everything else is pretty basic from, tool perspective and installability. And then there is a few adjustments, right, on the striker.
Yeah, once you get everything, like one thing that a lot of questions I get is, will this fix my doors problems? My doors are sagging, or my doors have that. And latches don't fix doors. The one thing that we tell everybody is, with the latch completely out of the equation, you want the door to fit the truck. You want your lines lined up. You want your panels, flush. And all the latch is going to do is hold your door closed, and allow it to, with our latch system, just more of a positive close.
And what about a more of a positive open as well, right? It does seem like you can really feather it a little bit more, or just a softer touch to get it to open than maybe an older. I mean, granted, if you went in to your stock system and you tore it all out, you cleaned it, who knows, 45 years of dirt, dust that's gotten up in that door, you cleaned it, you worked it, and you replace some of those internals. I'm not trying to take anything away from Trick, but it's probably going to open a little smoother. We know when we spray a little white lithium in there, things tend to work a little bit better. It's been, dirted up over the years, so you're going to have a nice mechanism, but you guys offer the complete setup, which, I mean, that's really where it's at, a modern setup.
Exactly. It functions a little more like, what you would find on today's cars. And then one thing that what we were looking at is, I'm sure you've seen situations where during maybe cornering or whatever, you'll have body flex where the cab and the door can actually separate from each other on some of those older latches, and the door pops open. So this eliminates that. Our latch eliminates that in the sense that when that claw closes around the pin and then the pin has a head on it, you don't have that, that lateral separation now.
When you look and you think about, like you said, one of the biggest questions is, it will fix my door. What's one of the biggest installation questions that you guys get?
It's funny. We don't generally get a lot of installation questions. That's one thing that, I handle all of our tech support calls as well. And for the most part, there's, sometimes it's people being a little nervous about cutting the door. They just want to make sure. They'll send me a picture. They just want to make sure they've got their template lined up correctly or whatever before they go into cutting the door. But for the most part, it's, everything goes together really easy. The installation plates are all, stamped to where they match the door's contours. So you're not going to really get that in the wrong place. And then once the latch is in there, the strikers generally have enough adjustability in them to where a person can just kind of dial in the latch and make sure that it's, closing smoothly and opening smoothly.
It's cool. And it really is. I mean, it is a safer door when you think about having the nadir or the striker where that bear locks onto it versus our, for 67, 72, or really, I guess I should say 72 and older, it's more of an open system on the B post, and then your door slides into that system. And like you said, I've had it where, I don't think I've ever had it where a door opened, but I've had it where a door, it feels like it's a second phase where it jars a little loose. It still stays shut, but it's a little floppy there where the door isn't quite all the way shut. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I've actually, I spoke with a gentleman one time that said that his wife was sitting in the passenger seat of his truck, and she had her back to the door and she was sitting kind of sideways, legs crossed. And when he went around a corner, the door just popped open and she literally just back rolled out of the truck. So, and then there was an incident at Cruising the Coast a couple years ago, I believe, where they were during the cruise, a guy made a corner, his door popped open, his passenger fell out, and he was actually run over by a car behind them. So unfortunately it does happen. But that's one thing that our latch could definitely help prevent.
You bring up cars. How about car stuff? Are you working on anything for the car stuff as well? Or do you have that?
That's the only car ones that we have right now are for the 37 through 40 Ford cars. And then we did a 41 through 48 at one point in time, but it wasn't a seller. So we kind of pulled it. The Tri-5 Chevys are definitely something that's one that's become a big request for. So that's another one that we're currently looking into.
Cool. If the 67 to 72 Chevy is probably your number one seller, what's like number two and number three?
It would definitely be the 47 through 51 Chevy and the 53 to 56 F100, which is where we started.
Cool. Excellent. Well, they can get a hold of you. It's Trick Manufacturing on Instagram. How else can they reach you?
Website's trickmfg.com. Trick is spelled TRIQUE. Find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. We do a lot of everything through Instagram, though.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's not manufacturing spelt out. You're right. I think it is just TRIQU, and then is it just abbreviation for manufacturing?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Great product. We're happy to kind of push this out to the C10 community, and really, we'll let the Ford guys and the Dodge guys. The irony of that is there's not that many of those Dodge trucks out there, but I'm sure they're always looking for good parts. Maybe we'll see if we can't bring it over to the D100 Talk and let those guys know about it. But Chris Turner, the VP over there at Trick, we appreciate your time and great product.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Hey guys, I have Jim Flanders, Brothers Trucks on. Jim, what's the latest?
We're grinding away, selling truck parts, and really focusing on our YouTube channel.
You know, the cool thing is, myself included, I'll check that channel out. It's a great customer service, a benefit to us. When we buy something, we can get in depth and know a little bit more and know the ins and outs, especially to watch it even before you go to install the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And we built a tech center in the back of the warehouse, so we literally bring in new products, we'll build them onto a truck or put them onto a truck, and we can see instantly how much work it's going to be, how easy it is. And we put that out to our YouTube channel so people, like you said, they'll be able to look at it and go, you know what, I can do that job in a day, or I can do that job in an hour. And it basically just completes a whole package of not just selling the product to a customer, but really backing them up when it comes to showing them how to do it and just making sure that they've got everything they need to get the truck back on the road or keep it on the road.
Like I said, I've watched it myself. I love it. Now, I heard you're rearranging some stuff over there. What's going on in the warehouse?
Yeah, we actually, this last year, we've been building a ton of inventory. And for a long time, we've always said, if you don't have it on the shelf, it's hard to sell it. People want to have it on the shelf. They want to know they can call and get it out the door that day. So, we're just trying to be more efficient. We're trying to have more inventory on hand. And, we've done a really good job at building inventory over the last 25 years. So I think that's what's putting us in the lead in this truck market for sure.
I totally agree. Brothers Trucks, you guys, for all your Chevy and GMC truck parts. And don't forget, they're putting new stuff on their YouTube channel all the time, so check it out. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, I've got Bobby from PSI Conversion on the phone looking at LS, LT-based motor swaps. Bobby, why should we choose PSI Conversion?
Ronnie, our harnesses are made right here at home in the U.S. Our product lineup includes the early 90s Gen 2 LT motors, Gen 3, Gen 4 LS VotorTech motors, and Gen 5 LT and LT4 packages. We have transmissions ranging from automatic 4, 6, 8 speeds, and soon to be released our new 10-speed, in addition to all the manual options out there.
Wow, you guys cover everything. How do you deal with the intimidation factor when a customer is doing their first LS or LT swap?
Great question, Ronnie. But the thing is, there's nothing that we haven't seen here in the LS and LT world. If you grab almost any motor out of a junkyard, you want to Frankenstein to build together or even supercharge it. Leave it to our sales team to help guide you along the way to the products that you need for your restoration. We have over 10 years of experience in the market, a tech department that is available to help troubleshoot and diagnose any issues or questions that you have along the way while installing your PSI products. Couple that with a staff that is going to be standing by our products with pride, made right here in the U.S. to a GM quality standard. Our team is happy to get you wired up and fired up.
And don't forget, guys, use code C10TALK and you'll save 5% off your order. PSIconversion.com. PSIconversion.com. You want to save 5%? Use code C10TALK at checkout. Thanks, Bobby.
C10 Nation coming at you, the Goonie Wheel. not the gunny wheel. We're going to talk about that, but I've got Michael, I've got Sergio, and we're going to talk about one of these products that you guys need to know about, because there's a need out there, and this Goonie wheel will fill it. So welcome, Michael and Sergio, to C10 Talk.
Hey, how are you, Ronnie?
Thanks for having us, Ronnie. Appreciate it.
You got it. I saw this thing in person. I was in Iowa, and I was over there at the River City Rods, and they had just picked up an RS chassis. And there you go. And I'm a big orange guy, right? Orange, anything orange, it's like my kryptonite. My audience knows it. My wife knows it. My kids know it. And I see these wheels, and I'm like, what are these? So the River City guys were like, hey, this is the new Goonie wheel. And I started looking at it real close, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. At that point, I knew I needed to let my audience know about what you guys have going on. So tell us a little bit about how you guys got together and you came up with this product.
Yeah, so I come from a background of the wheel repair industry, and I moved over to the US 5 years ago, and we had a lot of problems, especially with our technicians, jacking up cars, and obviously, putting the jack stand in the wrong position and causing a lot of damage to cars. With time, I started to think, how do we prevent all this damage? And most importantly, how do we keep cars mobile? Because in our wheel repair world, we're taking away wheels from body shops, from restoration guys, from tire stores, and we're leaving a car just sitting there on jack stands losing money. Now, I designed a universal wheel that can fit on all cars, so this would keep cars moving during the repair cycle. So a car comes into a body shop with damaged wheels or waiting on new wheels to come in, the body shop can continue repairing that vehicle and obviously increasing their revenue and obviously making more money for the body shop. So that was the whole idea behind the Goonie wheel. And then obviously, the name, Goonie, if you look in the name, we've got the uni that's in there, which means universal, and the G is actually for my daughter, Gabriella. So I brought a bit of that in. But funny enough, growing up in South Africa, we used to play marbles, and the biggest marble was the Goonie. So everybody wanted to win the Goonie at the end of the day and go home with a Goonie. So it kind of, had a pun between it, and it worked both ways. So I thought, well, that's going to be catchy, right? I didn't want it just to be a universal wheel sitting in a shop, because universal wheel can be anything. So I wanted to give the wheel an identity, so I gave it a name. And obviously with the help from Michael's side, we came up with the logos, we came up with the trademarks, we came up with the design of all the boxes and the marketing material. And today, 2.5 years later, the product's done, way beyond what I expected it to do. So I'm very grateful for that, for sure. We've won multiple awards at SEMA. We've won multiple awards with the tow industry as well. And we've gone international, which is exciting for us. Our product's available, probably in every continent in the world now. So, it's been an exciting 2 years for us here at Goonie Wheel, that's for sure.
Yeah, congrats. Everything that on my research is you guys have been doing good things, great things, and people are recognizing along the way. Michael, how do you get in this mix?
Well, Sergio and I worked together in that wheel repair industry, and I came from that corporate level. And as he was designing the product and putting it out to market, he needed someone that he liked and trusted, and anyway, help him develop the brand.
Those are scarce to find.
So I was excited about it because I knew that it was such a really great product, and it touched a lot of different markets, and I really felt like it could be really huge. And it was something starting like ground floor. And there was some excitement already building even in the early days from some good names. So I thought this is a slam dunk. It's an exciting challenge, and I wanted to get on board. So, Sergio and I just kind of started things rolling off. I joined in November of 2019 at the SEMA show, and we had such a great time at the SEMA show that year. And I've been so excited ever since.
Well, a good time to bring you on right before SEMA. Now, Sergio, is what you have now, what is available, is that what you started with, or was there some shakes and some moves to get to where you were? Obviously the prototype is the prototype, but is this really kind of you started and ended up with what you have?
No, so look, there's obviously challenges when you bring out a new product, especially from a napkin to production, and actually the wheel was actually, my first design was actually on a napkin, and probably 12 beers later, I was having a rough day again because obviously we had some damage caused at one of the body shops, and I'm like, I got to get this going. I still got that napkin today. So what I did was originally I started designing the whole wheel as a polyurethane wheel. I thought, let me go with a plastic wheel and try and keep it as light as possible. But unfortunately, once we started doing the computer simulations, we realized we weren't going to get enough strength out of a plastic material to keep, obviously in the US, we've got huge vehicles, right? And the wheels would have just snapped under pressure, especially when you're going around a corner. You're putting a lot of stress coming from the left to right, so it would have snapped the wheel. And eventually it was starting to get so bulky, I moved over to the steel material. When I did my first wheel, I brought in the samples, and I actually put the first Goonie wheels on my wife's car, believe it or not. And that could have been a divorce or a happy marriage. And we're still married today, so it didn't go too bad, right? Yeah. But what happened over time, so my original Goonie wheel, let's call it version 1, I used a 3mm plate, and I used natural rubber on the tire. And then what we were finding with my first batch, let's call it, we were getting a little bit of stretching out on the rubber, because rubber intends to react in different temperatures. So if it was very cold, believe it or not, it would actually stretch out a bit and cause the tire to try and come off the rim. So I went back and I changed the tire to a polyurethane, and I changed the steel to a 4mm plate. So version 2 came out, and we had kinked out all the version, all the errors we had, with the first version. It was a very obviously stressful time, but I think we've cleared all that now. And I think we sold just over 100,000 wheels now, and I think we've got a 0.76 error rate from our customers, and most of that is installation error. Guys are over talking the nuts and the bolts, or they're putting, I need to say this out there, but they're putting the spacer in the front of the wheel and not on the back of the wheel, to obviously create more offset. I've got guys that are putting it in the front and trying to use it as a washer, and that obviously snaps off because it's aluminum, and then you're going to have a run out on the wheel. So most, 99.9% of the time it has been an installation error. And maybe the 1% was when we had the stretch out, which obviously we obviously believe in our product, and we replaced those wheels for any customer that had a problem. So we did do some changes. And then again, we brought out a new product, the Goonie Wheel 56 for the bigger SUVs, for your 6-lug bolt pattern vehicles. And now we're actually coming out with the Goonie Wheel 80, which is for the 8 lugs, for the bigger F350s and up. So that's coming out in the next month or two as well. And we're bringing out a road version now called the Goonie Spare, which is an emergency road spare wheel. So if you get stuck on the side of the road and the tow truck comes up to you and he hasn't got a wheel to fit your car, if he's got a Goonie Spare, it's guaranteed to fit in your car and get you out of the way, So that's coming out as well, probably late 2020 or early 2021.
That's exciting. So when does the 8-lug come out? You said in a couple months?
I'd say in about 2 months, we should have the first batch here. Yeah.
Okay. For the audience, when I saw the wheel, it reminds me, it's, I don't know, what is it, 3.5 inches maybe? It's
3 inches, yeah.
3 inches, okay, 3 inches. And obviously it kind of does look like the cross between I don't want to say bicycle tire, but maybe a motorcycle tire. It's smaller, very compact. And it sounds like you initially created it for the automobile repair, the auto shop. Have you seen a shift at all in more restoration, or are you still seeing a lot of the repair side of things?
Yeah, so, the low-hanging fruit for me in the early days was definitely the body shops. I saw the need there because of my wheel repair background history. I saw the need. We needed to keep cars moving in dealerships and obviously in the body shop world. And what happened after SEMA, I was actually lucky enough to do a segment with with Kirsten Felder from Collision Hub, and she had mentioned to me I need to go see a guy called Jonathan Goolsby. Great guy. So, I sent him a set of wheels, and that's really where my restoration side of the business started to pick up. He was really my test side of that. And, we had great results from that. And then from there, obviously with word of mouth and winning awards at SEMA, we won the Best New Product Award at SEMA. And then we became runners-up for Manufacturer of the Year Award in 2019, which to me is, unbelievable, considering we're going against the guys from Corgi and WeatherTech and all these hunter equipment, and we're just a small outfit, So from there, it started to pick up. And then, I had been reached out by a lot of the players in that game, like your Gas Monkey guys and Chip Foose and, who else are the guys? KC and all these guys reached out to me, because they saw the need, because, that world, they're still using the plywood, right? They're using the plywood wheels, drilling some holes, and, that's a bit dodgy when you're putting an expensive build on, right? So the guys started to see this, and, obviously with Mike helping me on the social side, we started to get a lot of traction from the restoration side, and then the tow industry all of a sudden picked up from it as well, because, when wheels are stolen off a car, what do? You get to a car, you can't pull it on the back of the truck, you're going to rip the car apart and you're going to rip the back of your truck up. So the tow industry started buying a lot of the wheels to put it on when they came across a stolen recover, right? And then apart from that, we also found a market in the storage industry. So when you take your boat out of the water and you store it for winter, you put goonie wheels on it so you don't get flat spots on your original tires. So on your trailer. So that also became a market for us. So my focus was wheel repair industry, body shop, and then all of a sudden the market just opened up and we started to find all these other, sectors that actually needed the goonie wheels. So it was it's been a great ride.
Yeah, and it's a short ride, but to consider you've got more products coming out. And I love what you said about the wood. For the audience, most of you have probably done it yourself, but you get a nice 3/4 piece. You get a 4x8. You're drilling 3 or 4 nice circles, tires, and then you're creating holes. Well, they solve this problem for you. And if you're a guy who's going to continue to work on restorations, especially chassis stuff, then you've got these things at your disposal at all times. Michael, what do you see as the biggest challenging from the marketing perspective, especially since you've found that you've been able to find other niches and other areas that are, this is fitting a need?
Well, aside from we're in a pandemic and it's hard to get, some people might be not looking for new products, but it's a new product, and that's probably the biggest challenge. It's a beneficial product, and it's just getting that message out there. And I think that we found, the solution to that is going through the restoration world, gets the word out very quickly, because we realized it's a really tight-knit group. There's a lot of people know a lot of different people. So we were able to introduce that message a little bit and get that word out pretty quickly. Because again, having a new product out there at this time can be a little tricky to get that out there. So.
And I agree, but I also hear a lot of people in the last 6 months that people are kind of locked down. So like you teamed up with Goolsby, what a great, opportunity. And you probably had no idea at what it would, essentially come from that experience. But once somebody posts it on social media, they're like, what the hell is that? And then they're like, oh, that's the goonie wheel. And then it's like, what's the goonie wheel? Oh, go over here and look here. And that viral, marketing starts to take shape and work. Sure. And once a few guys start to get the word out, you're right. It's a circle, it's a family. And you teamed up with some good people, and they're all going to want to know about it. And then once they see how it works, what a great product. And, in this world, I like what Sergio was saying about the auto repair business. It's like, hey, that's time is money. And if that car is sitting there, that vehicle, whatever it is, and we can't move it, what a pain in the ass. Put some goonie wheels on it and you're rocking ready to go, and you're getting that thing out of there 2 days earlier. The customer's happy. The dealership and or the body place is making money, and it also makes room for the next guy to come in so they can make more money.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the whole idea.
Where's it made?
So we manufacture in Asia, and we import from there. We obviously export it out of there throughout the world. But I kind of did it differently this time around. I actually own all the machines that run the wheels. So I basically bought a line. And all the machines are in my control, and all the qualities in my control. So obviously pre-COVID, I could go over to my factory and check everything out. So it's basically, got full QC control from Goonie Wheel US. And obviously, I go over to Asia and I check it all out all the time. It's just, because it became a product that was getting exported all over the world, it just made sense for me to try and find a location that I could reach, all four corners of the world, let's call it. So we ship out now to, New Zealand, we ship out to Australia, we ship out to South Africa. The Middle East is pretty well covered. Europe is covered. And then we've got Chile, Brazil, Mexico down south, and obviously the US and Canada. So we've got quite a big footprint now that we've taken it out to the world. So it was quite a good move for us in the early days.
Okay, excellent. Now, where are you? Do you use distributors throughout, like say for the United States, or do you ship directly from your location?
So we've got different models. So in the US, we do distribute through LKQ Keystone currently. They are my distributors for the US and Canada. And then they've got an affiliated company in Europe called Euro Car Parts, which is owned by LKQ. And they obviously do the distribution in Europe. Well, not in all the countries, but where they do have an office or a branch, they cover that area. And then New Zealand and Australia, I've got independent distributors there. Goonie Wheel South Africa is owned by us and a partner in South Africa, so we've got control of that market. And then we've got Goonie Wheel Mexico, which is owned by a Mexican company out there. So and Brazil also, and Chile. So it all depends on how we build relationships, going forward. So we are actually actively still seeking more distribution partners in Europe and in Asia as we go. And that was going to be our goal for 2020 until COVID came along. We had actually already booked ourselves a spot at the Automechanica in Frankfurt for September to go do a big show there, to try and get some more momentum out of the European and Asian market. But unfortunately, we had to cancel till next year. But we'll stay positive on that, So, but LKQ Keystone has done a phenomenal job here in the US and Canada for us at this stage.
Okay. How about the big question is going to be price? What's it run for a set of 4?
Yeah, so a set of 4 is $720 delivered, which comes up to $179 per wheel. And that includes free washes and free delivery.
Yeah, that's actually, so 720 is less than I assumed. So about, what'd you say, 170, 175 a wheel?
Yeah.
Okay, 170, $720. You get it delivered, and that includes the washers and the lug nuts, or no?
Well, you use the original lug nuts of the vehicle, so you don't really, we do have them available if you don't have, but the wheel will come with the washers.
Okay.
And the washers are really used just to protect from over torquing. So it's a 6mm stainless steel washer, which we manufacture. And it's basically, you put the washer on before you put the bolt or the nut, and then you can tighten the wheel up. You can torque it up to 50 plus pounds, more or less.
Well, and obviously the shipping's probably a big chunk of that when it's a pretty big item. I mean, if anybody's ever even had wheels and or tires shipped, that can be a big thing. So you've got 175, approximately 175 a wheel. What else was I going to say there? Distribution, we got that. Yeah, I mean, are you seeing a region of the United States where, you're seeing a lot more of these shipping out to different states, different regions?
Yeah, so Texas is definitely one that's doing it. We see a lot of movement in Texas. We see a lot of movement in California. New York's got a lot of movement because of all the tow industry up there as well. And obviously there's a big collision industry up there. But funny enough, Vancouver, if we take it per square foot, per head, Vancouver is actually, the highest buying Goonie Wheel location in the world, actually. So, we've really painted Vancouver orange, should I say, so, which is pretty cool. So, you go up to Vancouver and you drive around and you actually see Goonie Wheels everywhere, which is great. So pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, and orange is the way, right? That's what I saw, a little slogan.
That's right.
I've been telling people that for, about 40 years, but orange is the way. Have you, when you look back and say that the second, your initial prototype and then what you have today, have you ever looked back and said, okay, in the last 2 years, Mark over at New Jersey has a set of the, number 5 Have you reached back out to these guys and say, hey, how's it going? How can we improve? How's the tread wear? I could imagine a restoration shop, the thing looks new. It's got like 6 miles total on it, if maybe a mile, actually probably not even 600 feet.
Not even, yeah.
And then you go to some tow company or some restoration company, the thing's painted 6 different colors. It's got primer. It's got buildup on the actual polyurethane tire. Have you had a chance to look at one of those OG classics that's 2 years old now?
Oh, yeah, I do a lot of that. I mean, I'm very passionate about this product, so I do a lot of follow-up. And, so in the early days when I started, I'd usually get like, you know what, give me one, let me try it out. So in the early days, guys were just buying one wheel, let me try it out. And then you'd see their orders reordering again. They'd buy the set of 4. And then, so every time, I would see a follow-up customer, I'd give them a call. Hey, man, thanks for the business. How's the first wheel going? Hey, man, it's pretty beat up, but it's still moving. It's still going. It's still keeping us mobile. It's still keeping, for them, it's an ROI. It's a return of an investment. You pay a Goonie wheel off in a day, not even in a day. I mean, a body shop and a dealership to have a bay held up costs them between $800 and $1,200 a day if they can't work on that bay. So now by having the Goonie wheels, these guys are getting cars out the way and bringing in another car. So the guys are loving it that it's actually a tool that makes them money. It's not just a tool they're using on a car, so it's actually got a great ROI. So whenever I call guys back, man, this is great. And I mean, if you follow us on our Instagram and on Facebook, I mean, that's the comments that are coming there. These wheels have been great. I mean, best invention ever. Why didn't I think of that? There's always that like positivity around the wheel, which is great for us. I mean, it's great for us as a brand. It's great for us as a company. And it's great for us knowing we actually giving back to the industry we love. We've always been in the auto industry. So the fact that we've actually got a product that's helping out the industry makes it even better.
Sure.
You're saving some backs, because how many times you have a truck car project that's got some nice wheels on it, you got to cover them, you got to take them off, you got to find a pair of the shitty shop wheels that you're going to throw on there when you roll it into the paint booth or whatever it is when it's getting body work and so on and so forth. And although I like to see the orange, but the Goonie wheel can get painted, it can get beat up, and it's still going to work for you and give back to the owner, the company, and whoever else. So good for you guys, and good for the automotive industry and what you've been able to provide everybody out there that's buying the Goonie wheel.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. Okay, guys, there you go. So you can get them. You can get it's GUNI, so Goonie wheel.com, and then obviously social media is the same. It's a pretty unique name, so I don't think you're going to have to worry about anybody getting that confused. Again, think about the uni, and then his daughter, was it Gabrielle? How was her name? Gabriella. Okay, so GUNI. For me, I see Gunny, and I haven't told these guys that. I'm like, is this the Gunny wheel? I think I'm at Heartbreak Ridge or something like that. But you've got the Goonie wheel, and it's out there, and it's doing a good thing for a lot of guys out there. $720, you guys can get a set and save your backs, roll your chassis around, and whatever project you're working. And sounds like you've got, what was the other product, Sergio, that you guys said you're going to have out? You're going to have a little bit heavier duty one that's not 8 lug.
Yeah, so we got the 8 lug, but we also got the road version coming out, the Goonie Spare. So that will be a pneumatic version. It won't have the solid polyurethane tire. It will actually have a tire with PSI. So it's like a temporary wheel, but we're calling it an emergency wheel. It's really to get you from A to B. So if you get stuck on the side of the road, a tow truck, or you could buy one, probably through your Advanced Auto Parts, hopefully, or Amazon, and you've got a universal spare wheel in your car. If you get stranded, you can get home, or you can get to the tire store, to the nearest gas station. So at least get you to a place of safety.
And I think right before that, you said there was one that was maybe
56.
The 56, yeah. So that is that's the Goonie Wheel 56, which is already available. You can get that through LKQ or through www.gooniewheel.com, and that will cover your SUVs like your F-150s, your Escalades, your Tahoes, or your bigger, like some of the Toyota Tundras have got the bigger 5 lug bolt configurations. So that will cover your bigger vehicles. It's got a bigger center bore than the Goonie Wheel 45 has.
Okay, so the 45, the 56, you got the 8 lug. Okay, so, and I do like the image that you're giving me because we've all seen it where you got the guy with the spare that says don't go over like 35 and he's ripping down the freeway going 65 miles an hour. So we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, it's great to have you on, and I love what you're doing. I love the product, and we're going to push it out to the C10 Nation. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Thanks for having us, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Ronnie.
Take care. Hey guys, I'm out at the intervention, and I'm going to add this to the product pod because it's pretty rad. So I've got Dave from Hot Rod Innovations. Dave, you got a little hideaway headlight set up here. Pretty rad. What are you thinking?
Thanks. Well, everyone's doing a pro touring style truck these days, and so we wanted to do something. If GM would have done an RS C10, what do we think that would have looked like? And so that's what we put together here. So we do, it's the complete grill insert. It's a 2-piece sheet metal deal, sheet metal grill, separate perforated sheet metal backer. It's all real billet trim. Comes with the 12-volt, motor and door assemblies. There's some sheet metal pans. You got to cut 2 squares out of the core support to mount our pans. It comes with templates for all that. The wiring harness, it's got a control box that's got just a hot and a ground that come out of it, and then a plug that piggybacks onto your factory headlight plug, and that's the extent of the wiring. So your factory headlight switch is what operates the whole thing. You don't have to go through and do a bunch of wiring, and just put a hot and a ground to the box and it's done.
So when you pull that switch, actuator opens the door and you're ready to rock and roll.
The door's open, the headlights come on, and you're good. Think first gen Camaro. So it's a similar deal to that.
What's that run? What's this kit run?
So they retail through us or through Summit Racing for $22.95 for the full kit. Everything's made here in America. It comes with everything you need, super detailed instructions, every piece of hardware. Everything's stainless. All the hardware's everything's stainless. Like I said, we make everything here. We're real proud of all that. And
what happens if somebody doesn't want any of the grill? They want to keep their, for this setup, you've got the 67, 68 that on display here. Somebody doesn't want any of that. They just want the headlight actuators. Can they buy that separate?
No, it's the whole kit that works together. The grill that we make is for a 69 through 72, but we did it in a 67, 68 theme, a style. But the way it's designed is for the doors to be able to slip in behind our grill, and so it's just the kit. If you want to do a different grill insert without doing the hideaway thing and having to do any modifications, we sell an insert only that'll snap right in to the factory mounts of your 71. It'll work on a 69 through 72, but you got to use a 71, 72 surround, and then we have just the sheet metal insert with the billet trim. So it kind of gives you the look of a 67, 68 front end, but you don't have to change anything.
It's funny, I didn't even really kind of see that until once you started walking me through it, that for the audience, it is the 67, 68 middle, but you're right. You've got the 71, 72 big outer grill. I would think that somebody could probably use the more honeycomb style, right? If they wanted to, it just would take some work. No, because it's all part of the whole setup.
Yeah. So the factory honeycomb center grill is, I don't know, an inch thick maybe, and our grill is just the sheet metal skin on the outside. So the door has
the availability to swing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we needed to we actually took a factory 72 plastic grill insert, had it 3D scanned, turned into a SolidWorks file, and then turned that file into basically a sheet metal skin that fits right over it, every arm and all the ears where your plastic clip it into the surround. All that is spot on to all the factory plastic dimensions. You can still reach the hood release and everything.
So what happens, obviously your top display here, what you have is you have the availability to make a 71, 72 look more like this. What does that run?
That retails for $7.95.
So if you're out there, you've got a 71, 72, really a 69 to 72, and you like the look of the 67, 68 Chevy, with the 2 bars that go across, they make that as well. So I'll take a couple pictures because I may not be doing the best on explaining this, but visually it makes sense to me now. And if you want the hideaway headlights, they have that available, $22.95, either through Hot Rod Innovations or Summit Racing.
Yeah, it's hotrodinnovations.cool is our website, or Summit Racing carries everything.
And they probably know where that one's at as well. Where are you based out of?
We're out of Brentwood, California.
Cool. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for your time. Real cool invention / product.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That. Thank you very much.
C10 Nation. Let me tell you about my buddies Travis, his dad Jack, a.k.a. Dad. They run Pro Performance, AZ Pro Performance. They're active in our community. They're C10 guys. They're always working on new stuff, like their new suspension line, React Suspension. They're master dealers for Dakota Digital, Bear, Boyd Welding, Vintage Air, and many more. They're C10 specialists and stock many fast-moving products backed by their stellar customer service. Not only do they sell C10 parts, but they live and breathe C10s and are very active in our community. Like I said, look for them at your next truck show. And they want to talk to you and help you out with your C10 project. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and you can also check out their Facebook group called C10 Addiction. So check them out and let them know that I sent you. Hey guys, I have Greg Carpet from Dakota Digital on. Greg, why should we choose Dakota Digital?
Ronnie, I think we're the best. If you want something that looks cool and fits in the dash, we've got that. If you want something that's going to work with either a 327 or an LS3 or anything in between, we can do that. We've got a ton of direct fit instrument systems for all these pickups, and then we've got some modules that'll plug into the computer for your LS, your LT, pull all the info straight out of the computer, put it in the cluster. So it's really the easiest, most functional, most user-friendly package on the market.
I agree. And the cool thing is, from the modern perspective of technology, you can even use your phone if you need to.
Yeah, our HDX and RTX lines of instrumentation, so our newest platforms we've released, do have a mobile app, and you can put that on your phone or your tablet. So not only speed calibration and color selections and all of the setup parameters can be done on your phone or tablet, you can also run the real-time gauges. So if you're, say, under the hood working on something, you can have the oil pressure and the coolant temp pulled up so you don't have to run back and forth. So app is really a nice upgrade on these.
You want the look, you want the performance, and you want to be able to see your gauges. Dakota Digital. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Hey, guys. Another great interview here. We've got Mr. John Brito, shop teacher out in, what do we got here? Windsor High School, NorCal. And just kind of adding to this product pod in that, hey, there's cool guys out there, really rad guys building rad shit. And that's what it's all about, John. I noticed a couple of your posts over the last, few months, and I see your Suburban with that big brush guard on there. And then next thing I know, I see you selling them. So tell us about your brush guard and, how you got involved building big old rad cattle pusher things.
Well, thanks, Ronnie. I'm into all, I'm a welding and fabrication teacher, so I'm always building stuff, and I'm always working on stuff myself. I mean, I built the whole Suburban was a frame off, and as I was building it, I actually found the Suburban in a junkyard. And I like patina, and I like original stuff, and I like original GM appearing parts, if not original. And I'd always wanted one of those brush guards, and they're really hard to find. So about a year and a half ago, maybe it was about a year and a half ago, I was finishing the Burb. I had the LS in it. I had it running. And there was perpetually one on eBay for a lot of money. I think I paid like stupid money, like $725 or something. And I ended up buying it off of eBay from a guy who now I know he's from Tulare or something. I can't remember, but I called him and talked to him, and I get this thing in, and I'm like, I could make this. It's not easy to make, but I thought, God, I looked for one for like 4 years, and I had 2 or 3 friends who were into one, wanting one too. And so, it took me about 3 months to make all the jigs and dies to reproduce them. And it's a GM, I call them a GM style brush guard. It's not exactly the same as the GM ones, but they appear to be, they look very, very similar.
Who made the first one that the coveted first one? Was there a manufacturer?
They have GM part numbers on them. Yeah.
Oh.
So I have 2. One of them is a GM. I could give you the part number. I'd have to run out in the shop and look, but there's a Chevy and a GMC, and there's just a difference where the outer bar is. I had both. I bought that one for 720 something bucks or whatever it was plus I think that was shipped. It was 720. And then you can't make this stuff up. The next day I'm on Facebook Marketplace in the city I live in. It's a bumper with a brush guard with KC lights, okay, and tow hooks. You can see the guy's tow hooks in the back. And so I call the guy, I go over there, and he's like, yeah, $100 for the bumper and brush guard. And I'm like, and I go, do you want to sell those GM factory tow hooks? And he goes, no, I really like them. I go, dude, they're worth some money, you know.
Big money.
And honestly, he was a really nice old man. So I'm like, dude, $500. I thought that was pretty fair because they're not the extreme bend ones. And he's like, $500. I go, honestly, dude, they're worth like $600. And so I'll give you $500. You gave me a real good deal on this other thing. I probably, didn't want to tell him. I just bought that for $700 a couple days ago. Yeah. So then I had both I could work off of. And, I have a lot of friends that really wanted them. So I just started making them for my friends. And Paul Robinson's Tonka truck on Instagram, that big yellow Longhorn, he's going to be at Intervention, and he'll have a couple of mine in the back of his truck. I think if they're not already pre-sold, I already have to go through my messages. But I think there might be still one or maybe two available. But you can check his truck out there. And anyway, so I made one for him. And I made one for my friend Dustin Hallinan, one of my students that we run that page Driveway Finds together. He has a little two-wheel drive truck. It's a little different on two-wheel drives,
I was wondering, that GMC that was on the cover of Street,
not mine.
Yeah, it probably must have been the real GM one. I wonder, too, GM obviously didn't make them. I mean, if you think about it, they had some guy in Texas or somewhere make them, and then probably put a GM, I assume, right? I mean,
yeah, I have tried extensively. I've to figure out who actually made them to see if there's any copyright stuff. Not to get too detailed, but I had a bunch of people say, "Oh, no, there's still a live patent." I've spent probably 20, 30 hours researching it. I've called a couple companies that apparently used to make them, and I even got a letter from one saying that they have no upholding patents on some. It's one that looks similar, but I have no idea who made these things. And like I said, mine are different enough to not. I mean, and I'm not a hardcore business. I'm doing it for guys that are interested. I'm not making a ton of profit on them. I'm just if somebody wants one, I'm willing to make it for them.
Well, they're bitching. They look authentic. So let's talk about that. So they are retail $450, and how long does it take to get one?
Well, they're $450, and depending on right now, I think I'm about 3 weeks out. Depending on my schedule, and I mean, I'm right back to school. I'm teaching virtual, so it's a little different. But on a normal, like my life is normal, non-corona week, I can usually bust out, like 2 or 3 a week. That's staying after school a little bit. I'm, here at school, I'll make them after school, and that's making them just after work days. But now it's a little different. My kids aren't in school as much, and so I have kind of less time. So I've kind of got a little bit stagnant. I'm catching up. I think I'm saying I'm 3 weeks out, but I'm really honestly like 1.5 weeks. And then shipping's kind of a pain. It's usually around $150. And so that can kind of put a guy off, $600 for one of these. I paid more for mine, but my original one, which isn't even on my truck anymore because I like mine better. The original ones, the welds are whoever was the apprentice welder. That's who they made brush guards. They're just terrible. All the welds are bad. They're not true. They're not straight at all. Mine are a lot better. Mine come out of a form jig every time. If they're crooked, they're at least the same amount of crooked every time, in the same way. But they're not. They're pretty straight.
Yeah, but I think a guy's got to understand the shipping part of it, right? I think 150 and 450. So let's just say 600 even.
Yeah.
That's really for what you're getting, a heavy duty brush guard that's retro rad, that looks OG. You can paint it whatever color, and it's not 40 years old, welded by the apprentice. It's, welded by the shop teacher, Mr. Brito, and a guy that they can talk to that stands behind the product.
Oh, for
sure.
I
think that's, that has a value within itself.
Well, and to plug them all the way, the uprights are CNC. They're made on a 4-axis CNC. All the little tabs are made on a CNC. Everything is exactly the same. The part that actually bolts the bumper, it's a bumper shape. That's CNC'd, and then I made a form jig that presses that in. I had to custom make a form jig that presses that into the exact same size every time and shape. So they're pretty cool as far as, I'm glad I can just make them now. I mean, for years, I was after one, and now it's like, I don't know. It's like if you've ever hunted for a part to where you're like just looking for it everywhere, and you see one in a field and you like, crawl through the field and knock on the guy's house. He's like, no, I'm going to fix the truck someday. I can't sell it. It's like, God damn. So, I finally ended up paying retail, and it's just now it's just nice to be able to just sell them,
Yeah. Do you think you'll keep your two just because the story of the Chevy and the GM one, and really you're into them?
I'm a sentimental guy. Yeah. Plus, it's nice to have original ones around to kind of go back to and look at, just in case I have everything. I have all the programs saved in CAD, and then I have all of my build instruction. I'm a shop teacher, so I have them all. Everything is, I could basically hand someone the booklet that I've made, and they should be able to just, buy my plans and programs that I have saved, should be able to just like make one. And I won't do that. I've had guys tell me that, like, hey, can you just send me the uprights, and can you just send me the hard parts to make? And it's, depending on the guy, if they were really cool, I might do that. But then, then the problem is if somebody welds it together crooked or funky, I don't want to be part of something that ends up not being, perfect.
Well, it reminds me of a good buddy of mine, Metalox, and he started out small, and before you know it, he couldn't keep up, and now he has his own instructions that go out. And I'm not saying you're going to get to that point, obviously, long bed to short conversion, versus a GM brush guard. But you're right. I mean, what you're doing, you could get to the point where, maybe the key is really the shipping, where you might lose a customer. And if you come up with like, hey, for $49, there was a guy up there, you want to talk about back to the forum days, I think it was LC Fab, LC. He's in NorCal. He was in NorCal. I'll have to look it up. LFD is what it was. Lewis Fab or something. And what he did is, back in the forum days, you would be able to buy this. He made this thing that hooked to your cherry picker, your engine hoist, and you could lift a bed, and you could take off a cab. And he was up there.
Before, man. Yeah, I saw
and he
that
would sell you the insurance for like the instructions for like $20-$25. And then that was actually kind of my first like welding project. Like I bought all the stuff, and so eventually you get to the point where you're like, hey, maybe if I put together a complex, system here, a guy who's in Georgia that doesn't want to pay $200 shipping, but you'll do your business how you want to do it. I think they are authentic looking. I do see you've got them on your bourbon, a few other guys. How many have you sold?
I'd be a lot better of a businessman if I kept track. It's more than 25 at this point. I need to order more steel. I order about $1,500 of steel at a time. And they're, material wise, it's usually $70-$80 depending on the price of steel. It's all 1/4 inch, it's all they're really actually heavy duty. I was actually surprised when I got my original one. I was like, wow, I thought it was more just for looks, but you could hit some stuff. You could definitely hit some stuff with one. Not that you should, but it'll save your radiator. It'll save your grill. And you guys know how much 6772 grills cost. They're heirlooms. So it's worth that alone. You spend $1,000 on a grill, you might as well protect it.
Yeah. Maybe it's the insurance, Mr. Brito insurance to kind of go with that. And I think it's a look too, right? You've got your bourbon. Yeah. A couple of the guys have them up there that your friends are, that we follow on social media. I know I do. And it really is a look. I've got a 3/4 ton 72 that was a family heirloom that was handed to me and my son. And I've kind of contemplated. I'm like, man, I don't know. It's got the white bumper. That's why I really like it, because it's
got a white bumper. You gotta put a brush guard on it.
I know, but I'm a big. So I bought. I don't know who makes it, and I still have it for Yellowstone. My crew cab square body that I don't have anymore. But I bought. There was a Texas company that made a brush guard for the square body.
Smash hit. I've
got one.
Is it like a chrome bar?
Yep. Yeah.
Those are
the bumper.
Expensive.
Oh yeah, I bought it a long time ago thinking, man, do I want to put this on the truck? Just like dropped, lowered up there, Carlos has the spare tire. So some of these vehicles come with the spare tire in the front, or the smash hit, or Mr. Brito brush guard. But I love the grill. I'm a big body line hood grill guy. So I always kind of struggle with that. Like I said, just with the square body, I was like, man, I don't want to take away the 73.4 grill and the hood and the body line. So that's my struggle. But the bottom line is when I see your stuff, and obviously that's how I started to follow you, and now we're here, was I do dig it. I really dig it. And there's all kinds of guys running 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive, 67 72s, well, maybe more 71 72s, because they're harder than hell to find in the the earlier years. But they're pretty rad, they're pretty bitchin', and I could see that. A guy who's building some 4-wheel drive stuff, I need to make sure I send this over to him, is Delmo, buddy of mine here in Prescott. He's doing some 4-wheel drive stuff, and that might be something like that.
He's in love with my burb. He's messaged me a bunch of times.
Good.
He's a really nice guy. I've also had a bunch of people interested in the roof rack that I have on my burb. I made that to look like it was like brother sister to the brush guards, but shipping kills that. I have a guy. He has the best looking burb there is. His name's Jared Friends on Instagram. I think that might be his name, but he has it's like a brown Suburban, and I sold him, and he's I think in Boston. I sold him a brush guard. And he wants a roof rack too, but it's like, dude, you know what the shipping would be for that. So that's something I might consider making a kit of.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
Nobody makes a vintage looking, everything on my truck, other than you open the hood, everything's vintage. I have an original GMCB, everything is just like old stuff. It has to look original. I mean, I hate to say that. It's kind of like, it's like fashion in a way. You have like a motif for your build, and sometimes it's all modern stuff, but on my burb, it just happens to be trying to keep it vintage.
I don't think you should hate saying that. You're amongst your people, and that you really are, right? I mean, this is the voice of the people who like to keep things OG classic, less is more. Don't go throwing a bunch of JC Whitney, crap on something. But that's where you're at, and that's why you're sitting right here right now. Is because if it wasn't something that I thought was vintage and rad, and it was period correct, then we would probably just move along. Which we there's stuff out there that you see like that, but what you're doing is really good for the scene. So you did say you've got some guys that have put them on 2-wheel drives. That's probably a rarity, though.
Yeah, it depends on. I think patina is kind of a unifying thing. Like when you have something, these brush guards, they look country, they look ranch, and not all ranch trucks. You guys know that you find a million 2-wheel drive ranch trucks. Some of them are. There's some of the nicest trucks I've seen have been short fleets that somebody bought. They're on a ranch, So not everybody popped for the 4-wheel drive or needed it. And so I think, if it's got patina and it kind of matches your build, a lot of guys will want one. I sort of faux-tinaed mine. Dustin Hallinan, he's got the orange LS swapped. That's a really cool truck, but it's really rusty. He's got the orange LS swap C10, and he got the prototype, so I made it. He got the first one, and he wasn't really sure what color he wanted to paint it. So I just painted it gray with some paint I had laying around. But what I really want to do is get one chrome dipped.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh man, that would be amazing. But I think for a chrome bumper, that would work. But my truck's a white bumper. I feel like if it's a white bumper, you just might as well have a brush guard,
You're right. You get away with a little bit more when it comes to that, when you have the white bumpers. And white bumpers, man, something about them. They just look rad. And I love the 4-wheel drive, as well. So I think that adds to it. So you got the 4-wheel drive, the 3/4 ton. It really does kind of add to it. And I'm just
Steelies and dog dishes, or it all matches up. It's like white. It's a beautiful look,
I thought this truck, so this is bagged Rusty 2.0, and it's a GMC. It's I think it's like a 72. I thought it had it on there, so that's where I keep looking, and I'm not seeing it on there. So
the truck on Street Trucks magazine.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
Yeah. I've seen that before.
Oh, okay. That thing's
That is not mine. That if you look closely, you can see that guard's kind of bent. Like that thing's hit some cattle before.
Sure. Yeah, that looks like it's probably out of Texas or Oklahoma or something like that for sure. So, well, good deal. So $450, approximately 150, just approximately. Obviously, it's going to be zip code dependent. and they can get one, and then they can follow you. Give us your Instagram, and then how do they get a hold of you? Do you mostly do DMs, or do you go website?
DM me. The two easy Instagrams to get a hold of me are Mr. Brito 721 _ DM me. It's low key, man. It's not like a real business. I'll message you back. I want to see your truck. Like, I won't even sell one to somebody if they don't send me a picture of it, on their rig afterwards. I want to see it on their rig, and everybody's been real happy so far. They're a little tricky to get on. Every bumper's got its own little bend to it, but I love the way they look, and so far I've had real happy customers. So
good. So MRBRITO 720 _
721.
721. I did write one, but I wasn't sure. So okay, 721.
For whatever reason, I'm spazzing out and I can't remember my own Instagram name. So let me just.
Well, I've actually Instagrammed you here a few times, so let me look here and make sure.
Yeah, so it's Mr. Brito 721 _.
Okay, so boom, they got that. They get a hold of you. They send you a thing, and if you guys want one of them, GM style-esque brush guards for your. Now, have you been asked to make one for a 60 to 66 and/or a square body?
Okay, so the square body ones are sort of in R&D. I got there's a lot of. You're obviously a big square body guy, but I feel like there's more square body people out there than 6772s right now, and everybody wants a square body one. I need to get my hands on one so that I can build all the jigs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm gonna butcher this, but what's the CCUV? I think the 80s military trucks.
Oh yeah.
So a CCUV brush guard would be close enough for me.
So I know of a guy who just bought one of those trucks. Let me because I just bought some parts. Let me go to my guy here. And
I also have a square body, so I would like one. So I have a 73 3/4 ton flatbed that's like my work truck, dump truck, and it's just, come on, it needs one,
Yeah. The other thing I was wondering is, what about the Ford guys? I would think that they're high boys. They would definitely want one.
I don't know if there's enough of a market. I have got my hands on an original, or at least an older 70s. I don't know if it's original, but 70s style brush guard. There's a guy who has a really cool truck on Instagram that's like all coyote swapped. It's 4-door and it's orange. I can't remember his name, but
is it
brush guard?
Keep It Crew or whatever? He's I think that's who it is.
Something like that.
Is it a crew cab? Keep It Classic. Yeah. He's got rad shit, man. We're gonna get him on either the Dodge one or the Ford one, because he's got some Dodge and some Ford trucks. But yeah, he does a really good job. He loves those crew cabs. So yeah, he's got some really
keeps
cool
the patina. That's what I. Not that I'm like an exclusively patina guy, but I happened across my Camaro and I sort of fell in love with not being afraid around my cars.
Mm-hmm.
So
what about the 60 to 66? Yes, you have been approached.
No, I wouldn't even know where to start with one of those. 6772s are keeping me busy enough right now. My wife was just talking to me before and I'm like, I said, I'm kind of scared if I get interviewed, I don't know, man, too much. I might get too much. Not that I don't want business, but I'm like, oh man, I don't want to have to take on an employee or something,
Sure. Well, just do it while you can. People will be understandable about the time and what you're doing. So if I see one, or my audience sees one, if you see an OG classic on a 60 to 66, obviously, or a square body, maybe snap it or forward it over to him so he can, kind of get a contact going there and get a look-see. And then
have you ever seen a brush guard like that on a 60 to 66? I don't think I have.
I don't think that I can't imagine not. Arizona, Texas.
The flat bar style, though. They may be the round bar style, like a smash hit, or.
I don't think you're going to see the round bar until the square stuff. I don't remember seeing a lot. I like this, the square like you make, or more of the flat bar. Mm-hmm. It's definitely period correct to the 6772. That's why I kind of wonder about like some of those, the bump side Fords, even the old Dodge, like a swept line. You think about like, for whatever reason, Dodge and Overboard, and that same truck was in Vacation where they're chasing them down that big old Dodge crew cab. That's like, it screams brush guard to me. Not like Simon and Simon. So some of you guys might not even remember that truck had the world's biggest push guard bumper you'll ever see. If you haven't seen it, look it up. Thing is like a freight train, like a locomotive. But yeah, I think it's cool, and I think you could kind of expand as time goes. And if you can barely keep up with the 67, 72, and then the squares, especially the 73 to 80 stuff. The thing about the squares is there's a lot more squares made.
Oh man,
there's a lot more squares made, a lot more squares alive.
Well, and I thought, looking at the squares, I thought they were just a flat, because the hard part about these bumpers is they have a 13-degree bend throughout the whole thing. And I'm almost positive the way the factory made them before was they welded the whole thing together and then they bent it afterwards. And I don't make them like that. I load them into a form already all bent pieces. But I thought the squares were straight. I think they are. I think they're just straight across. If it's that way, it'll be a lot easier to make for me, which will shave some time off. But then also the bumper, the way they bolted the bumper, I thought it was a little bit more simple. Then I saw one and I was like, I would still have to write a new program for the the piece that hooks onto the bumper. And
definitely different bumper style. It sticks out a little bit more. The the push, whatever the hell you call that thing. The square body one, the one that I have, I can't even remember. But
UV.
Well, it says Fort Worth on there and everything, but it has its
smash hit.
It has the brackets that do separate and then bolt to the bumper. It's ingenious for the time. So, well, good. I think you got a lot going on. You got to, I think what you're doing is really bitching, and I think it's anytime we can get a product for our trucks that takes us back and it looks OG, because finding OG sometimes can be near impossible. And then sometimes, honestly, for me, it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to have that? Especially when I'm going to have to stress because I have a $700 brush guard versus, a $450. Now, granted, I'm going to have to ship it, but I'm going to have to ship the $700 one too. Right?
Oh yeah.
Unless you find it, 10 minutes away, in your backyard, like you did.
Accident. I have a friend with the GMC. He still won't tell me what he paid for his.
That means he didn't get it cheap. Well, that means he either got it really, really cheap or he didn't get it cheap.
No, he'd tell me if he got it cheap. I'll send you I'll DM you after this a picture of his camping rig he built. It's amazing. But I
would think the GM one would be worth a lot more if it's like just GM versus Chevy, because obviously GMC, there's just a ton, absolute minuscule amount compared to the Chevrolet stuff. So that's where the guys get really crazy.
The brush guards, you mean?
Just anything GMC versus Chevrolet, because they just didn't make near the amount of stuff.
It's
that's where the
GMC guard. The bars are just in a different place.
Sure. But I'm telling you, man, it's just anything GMC just becomes so much harder to find, because it's just, I would say it's like, I don't know if it's, 1 to 10, but it's 1.5 at max.
I know Renee.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you guys still have some really cool stuff up there. It's still up there, and it's it's still available. And hell, you never know when some old boy has it. Next thing you know, it's for sale. So I'll make sure our audience knows how to get a hold of you, John. I think it's cool too. We've got a shop teacher. We got a guy who's got a family. He's not just building rad stuff for our scene. He's building it for himself, his friends, and check out his rigs. He's got one of the rustiest square bodies ever seen. On one of his posts, you'll see it. And then obviously his Suburban. So we hope you can make it to the intervention. We'll be up there. This will drop actually after the intervention. But nonetheless, for you guys out there, get a hold of him, Mr. Brito, BRITO 721 _ if you'd like to have one of these brush guards on your truck. Thanks, John.
Thank you.